Hi everyone, welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement. On today's video, it's going to be another 4-bit Nibble sized video. It still sounds weird to say that, so if you have a good suggestion on what I should be calling these mini videos that I show up on Wednesdays, please put a comment in the comment section below. But for today's video content, we're going to be looking at something that's a CRT and wood grain and small and was going to be scrapped in e-waste, and I hopefully can save it. So let's get right to it. I'm normally fixing old computers, but today, check this out. A little black and white Samsung television set. It's got wood grain and all, brown plastic back. Looks like it was manufactured in April 1983. In the US, TVs like this were generally known as a bedroom TV because someone might have a nice color TV in their living room, big one, or big-ish, but you'd buy something like this to just stick on your dresser or nightstand in your bedroom, so you could have something to watch when you weren't in the living room. This also might be the kind of TV that someone might pair with, say, an Apple II Plus or an Apple IIe or something along that nature. You just need an RF modulator. There is probably a subset of people who also use TVs like this on their Commodore 64. Yes, black and white, so you didn't have color for a computer like the 64 where it really benefits from color. But if you only had one color TV in your house and it was in the living room for everyone to watch, you couldn't sit there with your computer on it all the time. So people might have bought something like this for their kid to use their 64 or VIC-20 on or whatnot. So yeah, these TVs were pretty popular, and these days they've all been thrown away. So I want to give this TV a quick test and see if it works. Now I'm noticing that there are loose things inside, so I'm going to open it up. I also noticed that while the VHF channel selector is fine, and the fine tuning, the UHF knob, it's loose. Maybe that's the screws that are floating around inside. Let's check this out and reattach it before I power this TV on. So I think first thing to do is crack this television open. Take a look inside. So the power cord is pretty cool. It has a little cable management thing going on here because this TV is pretty light, pretty portable. It does have some knobs here for contrast, brightness, V-hold, and H-hold. And I can see a couple screws on the bottom right here, so I'll just pop those out. There are also 2 screws around the RF input. We have one more screw up in the handle here. I have to say, I don't think I've ever taken apart a television of this vintage. Of course, I've taken apart monitors of this vintage, so I can't imagine it's going to be particularly different inside. There we go. Oh, the entire board is coming out with it. Well, we can kind of see right here the tuner is floating around in there. But why is the board attached? There might be a screw. Oh, what's this? Bits of metal falling out. This looks like a broken nut. This is probably what held on the UHF. That is no longer staying. Now, why is this board in the back case? There we go. There we go. Back plastic case, it's kind of dusty, but you know, considering the age of this TV, it's actually not so bad. All right, here we have it. So pretty simple construction. Of course, since this is from the 80s, it's all transistors. So as far as this UHF tuner, it's sort of floating around in here. It does notch in right there, but I am not seeing any screws that would go in from this side to hold it in. Let's take a closer look here. So if I try to pull this knob off, there we go, this knob pulls off, not unusual. Look at that. This all comes apart. Okay, I can see the remnants of that nut that broke. It's right here. Oops, fell inside. There's the tuner. It's definitely free. So yeah, some type of a nut was holding it on from the front side, screwed in right there, and it broke. I see the nut sort of hanging out right here around the power switch, which is dangerous sounding. So there's a plate right here. I took out some screws just so I could try to get the nut out. It's right here. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the nut that broke. Looks like it was just some kind of pot metal or something. This ring nut was all it was holding on the Uhf tuner, and I guess maybe the TV got jostled or bumped, so that snapped off. Now, unfortunately, I pretty much don't have a ring nut that's gonna work for this tuner. So what am I gonna do? Well, the Uhf tuner, it's really not needed anymore. I mean, I know it's original for this TV, but to use this TV these days, you just need channel 3 or 4 and not this thing. So probably I'll just take this mechanical section apart, because this is the heavy part, and then I can just put a little bit of glue on this metal plate and glue it back on here so I can put the knobs back on so it looks right, and then I can just take this thing off, disconnect these wires because they're not necessary. The VHF tuner has a switch here, so when you switch it to the UHF setting, it switches this tuner in, so I can just leave this off. It's more important that the TV looks good cosmetically. Of course, this TV may not even work. All right, so let me just disconnect this tuner here. There's a coax connection here that's unfortunately soldered on. How rude. Okay, here's the UHF tuner removed from this TV. Okay, I turned the monitor upside down to make sure there was no more bits of metal on the PCB here, and there wasn't. So yeah, it looks pretty typical for a little black and white TV. The monitor analog boards inside things like the TRS-80 and whatnot looks pretty similar to this. I think even by 1983, at least in the US, there just wasn't a lot of time for black and white CRTs left. They were the very inexpensive of the most inexpensive TVs, and soon after that, small, low-cost color TVs started coming out, especially from companies like Samsung. In case anyone is interested, there is the CRT label. Yep, obviously made by Samsung. 310HEB4 is the part number. And of course made in Korea, as Samsung TVs would have been at this time. Let me just release some of this cable management here so I can pull the board out a little further. One thing I'm noticing is it's obviously very dirty inside, but this could be worse. But these two knobs right here are brightness and contrast, and they were maxed out, turned all the way up. Now that doesn't mean necessarily much, but it's a bad indicator that this CRT is weak. This TV was maybe used a lot, and someone turned the brightness and contrast all the way up to try to get some kind of an image out of this that was watchable. All right, testing time. So you have to feed RF into this TV, right? And I don't have, this is a 300 ohm connection here. So I'm going to use an old computer switch, and I have a coax coming from an RF modulator. It has an RCA F connector to RCA adapter, and then I'm going to connect this up here because this is 300 ohms, this is 75 ohms, and you need a balun in here, which converts the impedance. So let me just tighten this. Even though this TV is from 1983, this is the connection. This is all I had, no coax. TVs around this time, or maybe a little bit later, started having F connectors. Like I think VCRs, for instance, used F connectors, but a lot of TVs still had these. So you used a little thing that went from this twin lead connection here to an F connector. Now, not like this box. I just don't have one. It would be a little thing with a little transformer on it and then the F connector so you could plug in your coax. But yeah, I don't miss these types of connections. Just so annoying and fiddly. Okay, let me plug in the mains of the TV here. Careful not to be near it because it blows up. Okay, mains are connected. Let's set this for channel 3. Set it for channel 3. Here we go. Oh. Let me pause that so there's no copyright music. Playing the DVD here. Okay, H hold is way out of whack. That's V hold. There we go. We got an image. Let's turn off these studio lights. Oh, that is a pretty bad image. Let's adjust the fine tuning here. Oh, that's actually okay. Yeah, okay. Turn down the brightness and the contrast. So this is brightness and contrast. Yep, so unfortunately there's quite a bit of blooming and the image quality is just bad. It is bad. I'm gonna feed a test pattern into this instead of this DVD here. Yeah, okay, so there we go. So if I turn the brightness down, the convergence looks okay. Now it's very dim. It's very, very dim to my eyes. I look in the camera and I can see that it looks better than this. But if I turn this up, notice how out of focus this gets, all the blooming and everything that you see. And that is just because this CRT is dim. So there's a lot of range of the knob where there's just no picture at all. And then it starts to come in there, right there. And it actually looks pretty sharp. That's not bad. But if I turn it up, oh yeah, no good. No good at all. Since this TV may not have been turned on in a long time, I'm gonna just let it run for maybe 20, 30 minutes with image on here. Maybe the tube will wake up. From what I've seen, sometimes the tube, when it's been well used and then off for a long time, it's kind of tired, and just running it actually gets it kind of brighter and working a little bit better. So I'm just gonna leave this as is, see if this improves. While this thing is warming up, there's an odor of not cigarette smoke, which is really good, but kind of like damp, musty basement / garage smell. So clearly this thing was stored at in a kind of damp environment, although it's not rusty inside, so that's nice. But yeah, it's just that kind of that mothball old smell sort of wafting off of this thing. The volume knob really scratchy, so I think I'm gonna do some Deoxit in there. You know I couldn't have a video without Deoxit, right? Might spray some in the tuner as well. This is not tuner cleaner, but you know, I think it should help at least. So let me turn this thing off here. All right, so I have it unplugged from mains right now, and this is the power switch / volume, and the volume is the front part. It's like a regular potentiometer. So I'm just gonna shoot this with Deoxit in there. The part that's the power switch itself is fine, and then I'll just turn it back and forth a whole bunch of times. Hopefully this should clean that right up. While I'm at it, let me just check the CRT connector here. Oh, that looks totally fine. Nothing looks corroded or bad, but yeah, this knob needed it, and let's get some into the tuner here. See, right in here, there's no, I don't see like there's no easy way to open the cover here, so I'm just gonna shoot this in there, and hopefully it gets around in there. All right, did that help at all? Let's take a look. Just need to plug the mains back in. Okay, let's see. Look at that. Not a single sign of scratchiness left. Gets quite loud as well. And let's check out the tuner. That is still not great. Oh, you know what? It's actually quite a lot better. Oh yeah, that is better. Nice. It's not perfect. But yeah, definitely a lot better. Let's see where the brightness knob is. Is this waking up at all? You know what? It is waking up a little bit. It's still not very bright, and it has blooming issues because I could see scan lines right here, but over here, I don't see scan lines. It's just fuzzy. So running the TV for a while, it's definitely gotten a bit brighter, but still pretty dim. So I want to test it with my Crt Rejuvenator. I'll link to the previous video on the Rejuvenator down below where I fixed up a max CRT, made it pretty much from unusable to really good. Now, Rejuvenators don't work every time, especially the crappy one I have, but hey, it's worth a try on this old TV to see if I can brighten this picture at all. Okay, so I need to figure out the heater voltage. Now the CRT is running right now, and I have a CRT socket here for the CRT tester, and I know that pins 3 and 4 are the heater voltage. So while it's running, I just need to measure really quick here. What is this beeping about? I have it testing AC volts to see if there's anything there, and I don't really see anything. So it's probably DC, you never know. There we go. Actually, we'll flip these around. Interesting, 10.9 volts and no AC component, DC only. Very interesting. You know what, I haven't really tested this multimeter very much. It's sort of a cheap Chinese one that I wanted to try out. The interesting thing about this thing, sorry, it's not in focus, there we go, is it has a built-in kind of oscilloscope function. There it is, you hold that button down. But unfortunately, it only runs at maybe 400 kilohertz, or is it 40 kilohertz? Very slow. So it's not particularly useful because you can't even test signals like clock signals over, a few hundred kilohertz. So let me get my other multimeter that I can trust a little more. Okay, the good old EEVBlog multimeter. Turn this so you can see it. All right, here we go again. Oh, 10.9. Okay, so the other one at least is trustworthy. Let me just check for AC components. Yeah, no real AC components there. Okay. All right, here's the convergence here, and if I turn the brightness down, it's still fine. Turn it all the way up. Definitely we're getting a lot better, brighter picture than we were before. Notice the black, it's quite bright, but there's a lot of blooming there. And where there's no blooming down here, it's just really dim. So time for the Rejuvenator. Okay, Rejuvenator is connected. The multimeter is connected to the heater there, so I can get the voltage just right. This is on AC because this thing outputs an AC voltage to the heater. And let's turn this on to heater adjust. We're at 10.4. I have it on the 10 to 13 thing there. Let's turn this up a little bit to get to 10.9. So it matches what the stock board is doing. Yep, the heater is on. It looks similar brightness. Okay, so it's warmed up for a moment. Let's check shorts. Of course, we know there's no shorts because we have a picture that was pretty good. And let's check emission. Whoa, we got some sparks. There was actually something that happened on the picture too, which is shocking. All right, well, I have it at 300. That's weird. The emissions were low, down around bad, which you probably can't see, and the needle just went up. Interesting, the emissions are quite good according to this. Originally, the meter was down around bad here, and then it just, after, 30 seconds, it went up on its own, and cutoff should be right off of the 0 there. And it is. It's around 90 volts on here. That just seems a bit high. And we'll try the life test, which all this simply does is turn off the heater, and you watch the meter to see how quickly or slowly it falls. And kind of goes slow and then falls really quickly. We turn the heater back on, 10.9 volts, and comes back up. So I'm really in uncharted territory, but hey, I'm gonna try the Dynamic Intensifier because what do I gotta lose with this little TV? Here we go. So I'm gonna change this to Dynamic High, and notice the heater voltage goes way up, which is what it's supposed to do. And I'm gonna hit the button here. Got one. And one more. There we go, 2 hits. Now we'll let it cool down. If anything, the emissions are actually worse now. But I think it was giving me a false reading, to be honest, because just looking at the way the picture looked on there, there was no way that it was that good. Do life test here. So now it falls a bit more like I would expect it to. Kind of a gradual fall. And before it would kind of go like this and then go very quickly. Let's try this thing out. Let's try it out on the actual CRT. I have the tester turned off. So this is the actual analog board. And let's plug the TV back in. And I've got to plug the RF modulator back in. I had everything kind of unplugged. There we go. Oh, hey. Wow. That's a dramatic improvement. Wow, it's unbelievable how much better it looks. Hopefully you can tell in the camera footage that the black squares in between the lines now is black. And before, it was quite a gray color. And now the lines are all sharp. They're not blooming. Okay, what? This is incredible. I'm blown away. Let's see where the brightness control is. Okay, so now it's actually quite bright. Here, at this setting, the lines are sharp and the black is actually black. Let me switch the test pattern. Okay, here's the matrix test. I can turn the contrast down and turn the brightness up. What? I'm shocked at the difference. This is amazing. It is so sharp. I see the scan lines perfectly. We're getting a good grayscale. It's still like the resolution's not great because we're going through analog channel 3 plus the IF and whatever. But this, like the definition between these sections here, like between the white and the black there, wow. And here are the normal color bars. And down here, see if I turn the brightness up, you see that there are 3 extra bars there. You should just be able to see the one on the right, and I can. It looks good. I am completely shocked at how this looks now. This is very watchable at this point. So that was fascinating how the emissions on here were lying, how it was reading much higher than it actually was. Doing the dynamic intensifier on medium twice, read lower after the fact, but the picture quality is massive improvement. Yeah, so after watching some test footage through this hooked up to the DVD player, the difference is staggering. It's totally watchable now. I mean, it's a black and white TV, so it's not gonna look great, but I'd say that this thing went from pretty much a terrible picture to something that is very similar, at least, to how it was when it was new. So with that said, I think I'm gonna try to disassemble this Uhf Tuner, or at least this shaft part, so I can get the knobs back on here and just hot glue it. I'm not gonna use permanent glue. I'll just hot glue that all onto here so that it will look correct at least. So this is the plate where the UHF knob originally mated to. Now there's no screw holes there. That's just a little keyhole to keep it oriented. The nut goes on the other side of this. So I think originally you took this whole plate off, unscrewed these screws, attached the 2 tuners, and then screwed it back in. So I've disassembled the knob off the tuner. So we have this flat plate here and that flat plate. And I think I'm just gonna use some hot glue and glue this back on. And it goes on this way, like into here. And let's just squirt a bunch of glue on here. And I'm just gonna have to hold it while it glues itself on there. There we go. Like so. Actually, it seems like it's holding itself pretty well. And because this heavy tuner box is no longer hanging off the back, I'm thinking it should be fine. As long as someone doesn't push on the knobs too hard, that should stay on there, I think. So we're just gonna let that sit and dry, and hopefully it holds on. I mean, worst case is it sort of falls down again like it was when I got this TV. Now I gave the knobs a good wash, so they're nice and clean now. Let's turn this around like so. Also, while the knobs were removed, I cleaned out everything in there. So I should be able to reinstall this now. And because pushing the knobs on could push this out on the back, I am just gonna hold it. Okay. And the fine tuning knob goes next. And then we have the actual tuning knob. Uh-oh. And I think I just disconnected it. So much for my glue. Although, you know what, to be honest, the fact that this isn't so bad actually. I might put some more hot glue on there. But this does turn. Oh, yeah, okay, so it's all fallen out the back. I'm gonna try to glue that back on again. Unfortunately, hot glue does not attach well to smooth metal. That's just kind of par for the course, right? So anyway, I think without the heavy tuner on, the knobs will keep that on there and it should be actually fine. Okay, and before reassembly, I'm just going to deoxit these knobs here just to get these less scratchy. Wow, they're so easy to turn now. They were so stiff originally, but now they're a lot better. And the last one is an adjustable coil, so I don't need to put deoxit on that. That's fine. May as well just give the CRT a little wipe because, you know, why not? Let's just see what's happening underneath the anode cap, if anything. Definitely a little stored voltage in there. Now I'm just going to quickly do a test to see the high voltage. Yeah, we're getting about 10 kilovolts on this thing right now. And we turn it off. Slowly fades down to 0. Put this thing back together now. Okay, let me try to get this back panel back on. A little tricky, you gotta line the PCB up so it slides in. Now I have to try to get this antenna input board in the right spot. There's probably some TV repairman trick for getting this thing, all right, well, it's kind of in there, but how do I get this on there completely? I don't know. I'm gonna just screw one screw in like this. And then as I put the back cover on, I'll tighten that screw, which hopefully pulls this into position a bit better. Okay, here we go. Okay, it was a little fiddly, so let's see about getting this other screw in here. I'm gonna hold one of these other screws. Oh yeah, okay, not as bad as I thought. Still not ideal. I don't know why they could have put a longer cable on the inside, or maybe some kind of a clip thing, or I don't know. All right, it's back together. Let's just a little magic eraser on the CRT. It's always a good way to kind of get any kind of scuff marks that might be on it. Okay, so this knob needs a little cleaning, but it's really hard to get these off, so I'm just gonna clean it in place. Well, I have to wonder, has anyone ever watched my videos on a little black and white CRT ever before? This might be a first in the whole planet. All right. Yep, so this TV is reassembled. In case anyone's wondering, I have an RF modulator plugged into this TV, which is generating the RF channel 3. And into the RF modulator, I have an HDMI to composite converter, which is then plugged into my laptop, which is sitting off to the side, and is playing one of my videos locally. And I am, of course, zooming it and stretching it. So even though this is a widescreen video file originally, it's being cropped on the left and right. So the aspect ratio is correct for this 4x3 CRT. And there we go. Adrian's Digital Basement playing on a little 12-inch 1983 Samsung bedroom television set. Here is a high-density Apple Macintosh floppy drive. Look how it looks when you turn it off too. I just love this. Ooh, it shrinks. And when you turn it on, yeah, it comes on. It's a little blurry. It's not instant on. So of course, if it's off for a while, but still plugged into mains, it will slowly come on as the heater warms up. But yeah, this thing is working. I love it. And it cleaned up pretty nicely. On the front side here, it looks great. Well, there you have it. That's the Samsung BT318NR black and white 12-inch bedroom style television from 1983, working well. Another TV or another device saved from the scrap heap. I'm really amazed how well the CRT Rejuvenator worked on this thing. It worked its magic once again. Even though I think that thing is not such a great unit, it's one of the older ones, but like that CRT I did the rejuvenation on last time, this thing kind of woke up once I hit it with that intensifier. Now you may be asking, what am I going to do with this little 12-inch CRT? And actually, I'm not really sure. I'm glad to have saved it, so it didn't go to e-waste, but I like the small little wood grain nature of it, and maybe it'll look good on a shelf upstairs, or maybe you'll see it around in a video in the background doing something fun or whatever in the future. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, I would definitely appreciate a thumbs up, but if not, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs down button, hit that subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the little bell icon to get notified when I upload new content. Put your comments and your suggestions in the comment section below, and that's going to be it. Thank you very much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.